The thumbnail always catches me out. I'm going on a health binge. I am adding water to my diet. Chateau Thames. I did a few lunches at Thames House in Cavendish Square, the headquarters then and possibly still. Oh, I forgot my toothpick. I guess it. In fact, I've got a bit of thing in my mouth and no. Still haven't got it. We have a bone to pick and a card trick. The bone to pick is with sovereign immunity. The royal prerogative has been whittled away to nothing. The Queen cannot decide whether to shit or get off the throne without the law and the law courts intervening, potentially. And I intend to ask them to, possibly a small claims court case, asking for the ring of St. George that is used at the coronation ceremony to be conveyed to the celestial city as a token. Token of what? Support, defiance, any other choices? Submission is a possibility. Can you imagine the Queen submitting to anything? Well, she submitted. Did she submit to the Ock challenge yet? If the Queen says yes to an act of Parliament, if she exercises the sovereignty of the nation by giving her royal assent, which has been delegated to a committee of the House of Lords, as I understand it. She probably doesn't even sign the vellums, goat skin, vellum. The Acts of Parliament are written on. This is, as I understand it, the original act. If you need to be absolutely sure what Parliament decided or what the Queen in Parliament decided, you need to consult the rolls, ask the Master of the Rolls to deliver the appropriate vellum, and that is, I assume, then it goes to the Queen's printers. The Queen's printers print it, and then it goes to courts. Then the courts use this as the definitive version of the particular Act of Parliament that they need to solve the case. If there has been a mistake in the vellum or a mistake at the printers, if they put in a knot or didn't, or left out a knot accidentally, or an or an and, or a jot or a comma, the law, as it is performed, do you perform law in courts? The barristers do. They are peacocks in black suits, dressed, I believe, as butlers, because originally they served the drinks to the judges, possibly to the accused, certainly to the lawyers, probably to the jury and the audience, and eventually the bouteliers, the butlers, or the baristas. I suppose they served coffee. They were the coffee boys. The butlers were the alkeys. Most of the lawyers and judges joined them as alkeys. In fact, they probably can't function without a drink. I know at least one in the not Royal Courts of Justice, but it's probably the same, at the Old Bailey, who basically couldn't function in the afternoon if he didn't have 3 stiff gin and tonics, which he drank with his lunch. And then he probably went back to his office, or whatever they call it, chamber maybe, and, was swigging straight from a gin bottle. I saw it. Well, I saw the lunch. No idea what went on in the chambers, but I know a man who does. You see, the Old Bailey floats along on alcohol. They cut the ration, probably did not improve the scales of justice. That they were used to operating on a bottle of wine at lunch, a bottle of brandy for breakfast, perhaps. I exaggerate, maybe a little. Completely in some cases. I guess there are some alcohol-free lawyers. Avoid them like the plague. If they don't know how to look after themselves, they won't know how to look after your case. Take it from me. The Queen and the toothpick. For some reason, I wasn't invited to the naming or the launch of Oriana, the new one. Southampton, I believe. Generally nowadays, the ships are afloat. You just whack a bottle of champagne. Why champagne? Why not You see the Lord Mayor, or he was just the sheriff. I can't remember if he's a red sheriff or blue sheriff. But he had a vineyard in, was it Kent? Can't remember. Lovely wife. And they brewed, you don't brew wine, do you, or champagne? They vinted sparkling wine. You see, you can't, it's not actually grown in Champagne. The grapes aren't grown in Champagne. I suspect half the Champagne grapes aren't grown in Champagne. They're grown sort of somewhere similar, pulled in by tractors. The grapes are in the trailer. They cross the Champagne border. They suddenly miraculously become Champagne grapes. Oh, I bet you it happens. So you get grapes for half price, suddenly double the price by crossing this line in France, turned into sparkling wine, freeze the top with all, no, you have them upside down, then, oh no, you tilt them, I can't remember. You start this way maybe and tilt them until they're upside down, all the sediment goes to the bottom, you then dip that in dry ice or something very cold, it freezes the neck of the champagne bottle. I've got it here, you see. So imagine this upside down. I could do it. Let's do it. Let's see if the world looks different when it's upside down. Well, it does a little. I'm holding the water. I'm holding my water in. I shan't piss on you. Don't worry about it. I shall piss on the NHS for killing my mother, not rescuing Julia, goddess, Queen of Heaven, Empress Salonia, Duchess Salonia, very important. In fact, she probably should have gone up the front. So emptied the bottle, the last glass of Bosca, 11.99 at Costco, open 24/7, 366 when necessary, until they go bust. They go bankrupt periodically. I don't know why. I assume they're money laundering. It's Afghanistani, you know, they used to be Paki shops. Now I suppose they're Stani shops. Afghanistani shop run by Ali, Baba and the 40 Thieves. Who said that? Who said that? Don't even think it. He's lovely. He's on the phone to his family in Afghanistan whenever you go in, 24/7. I think he works 12-hour shifts. You go in, he is absolutely knackered. He can barely sit on his stool. Lovely chap. I must go to Afghanistan with Ali, Baba and the 40 Thieves, inspect the poppy fields, sample the opium as we call it, opium in Britain, have a great time, meet the locals, blow up a few landmines, follow in the footsteps of Diana, Princess of Wales, goddess. She's up there with Diana the Huntress when the moon is full. Diana, Princess of Wales. I'll come to the Princess of Wales in a moment. Is looking down on you. Full moon, I imagine she's Cancerian, born in June, same as the goddess Julia, 28th of June, 1955, 2 years before me, 1957. So she would be 66 now, or coming up to 66. Would she be collecting her pension? Here's a question. You see, you girls wanted equality. and you got it. They said, okay, have equality. And they forgot to mention, soon enough, I imagine, that their pension age would therefore go up to be equal with that of the boys. So they used to be able to retire at 60 because they hadn't worked, they had babies and pregnancies and, in between jobs, never earned very much. They never got much in their national insurance pension pot. So the country could afford to pay them a pittance of a pension then, but now, they're sort of catching the boys up a bit. Nowhere near fast enough in the city, where they only earn, I think, is it a third or 40% of what the boys earn? Well, this is because they don't take their job seriously. Some of them are there just for the maternity benefits. They go to work for, I don't know, a year, a couple of years. Maybe they get pregnant, suddenly think, oh, fuck, I need to find a job. 8 months later, out comes a sprog. 2 years maternity, I don't know what it is. No, I don't want to hear your complaints. If you don't think 2 years is enough, or you don't think you're getting 2 years, or you'd rather have 5 years, talk to your member of parliament, talk to your councillor. It's their job to sort it out. Talk to your vicar. He'll talk to the Archbishop of Canterbury. He'll have a chat with HMG or HM if he can't get any sense out of them. HMG, Her Majesty's Government. HM, Her Majesty. HIM, you can talk to him. Her Imperial Majesty. As I understand it, she is still Empress of England, one of her lesser titles. I think it's the top title. It's concealed from the public. Wasn't mentioned in the coronation service. You might need to fact check that. And there's another thing that didn't happen in the coronation service. They or somebody forgot to issue a general challenge. There's supposed to be a challenger. It should be, if it was me, my favorite Pornhub model in full armor, possibly an alternative challenger in his birthday suit, with or without a fig leaf, to cover his magnificence. And somebody, I suppose, the trumpets sound, the drums hammer out, the flutes play, the choir bursts into song, the music fades, and then Sir Michael Hordern or Sir John Knight, obviously, a theatrical knight with the appropriate voice to come up and boom. Her Majesty or Her Imperial Majesty or him or we or possibly I, on behalf of him, issue a general challenge to one and all, to none and all, that if you believe you have a better right to the throne than Elizabeth, probably ye are to declare it now or otherwise, or forever hold your peace. It's a bit like a marriage. Church services, they're all a bit sort of the congregation, bread and wine. Still haven't got it. Pop back to the Oriana, the launch of Oriana. I imagine Lord Stirling, he might have been Sir Geoffrey then, was master of ceremonies, providing for the whole bash, certainly paying the bill. And maybe he paid for Gloriana. Gloriana sounds like Oriana. It was possibly a publicity stunt with subliminal advertising. You see GL, probably Greater London, Oriana. And this is a golden rowing boat with, I imagine, 12 oarsmen. I would have them naked with fantastic muscles, gym bunnies down to their toenails, their manicured toenails, rowing the ship up the Thames. There's a sort of canopy come platform at the back where the Queen sits. Did she go up the Thames on that for something? It was raining. She stood all the way, although they had 2 chairs for her and Prince Philip, hanging onto the rail, looking miserable as effing sin, as I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or maybe she managed to smile then. It was a sort of long, slow, tragic journey in my recollection. And the rain, it raineth. As if it were Penzance. We have the picture in the hallway, the rain, it raineth, Penzance Promenade. So all it ever does in Cornwall, rains. What Ireland doesn't get, Cornwall gets the leftovers from Ireland. Ireland is the Emerald Isle. Cornwall, I suppose, could be the Emerald County. And here, sat on the Emerald Throne in the Emerald City, is, I don't know, Merlin, the Wizard of Oz. I never got a thank you note, I sent the Wizard of Oz with the soundtrack to Dark Side of the Moon. You've got to synchronize them. At the 3rd roar of the lion, you start Dark Side of the Moon and smoke some pot or not. And it's magical, the effect. You would think they had written the music for The Wizard of Oz. Oh, look, talking of synchronicities, 22:55. 22 is the second completion, 2 11s. 55 is 5 by 5. I'm hearing you loud and clear. Scale of 1 to 5 for loudness, scale of 1 to 5 for clearness. You can mark me whether I am loud and whether I'm clear if the post is open for comments. I must look into comments, make sure I can edit them. Any comments we don't like, we delete. Now we move them to the top of the agenda. If somebody's complaining, we want to know about it. You are only as good as your last bœuf bourguignon. Bœuf bourguignon, Burgundy beef, is off the menu. You can have a bean bourguignon. It's sort of like baked beans, but it's without the bacon, without the beef, without the dead animal. We might have to take the onions out, use maybe spring onions, if you can snip some of the leaves off without killing the onion. Maybe you could share some onion essence, maybe garlic, the bit of onion leaves too. Perhaps you can carefully cut them without harming the onion. And that's it with rice or pasta. I don't know how you're supposed to eat it with rice. I understand it. I always had curry with rice. My grandfather, curry with potatoes. He wouldn't eat curry with rice. Curry with potatoes. But he was a potato farmer, so if he'd been a rice farmer, he'd probably have it with rice. I wonder if you could grow rice on the Isles of Scilly. No idea. How about pot? You can grow pot and hemp. We need to go back to the hemp economy of old Good Queen Bess's glorious days. The first Good Queen Bess. The second Good Queen Bess may turn out by accident not to have been a queen at all. You assume she becomes queen the moment the king, her father, breathes his last breath. Was he smothered with a pillow? No, I think that was just too much smoking and too much stress during the war. I wrote a note to Queen Elizabeth, the queen. That's how they called the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, and the Queen. So now the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, has gone up to meet her maker, or gone down to meet Jimmy Savile and her best buds. Almost both gone up and down, you see. What's the difference between good and evil? We've been through this before. It depends which end of the telescope you're looking through. Is it good to kill a cow so you can make boeuf bourguignon? Well, if you are eating the boeuf bourguignon and it pleases your palate, that may be a good thing. If you happen to be the cow, the poor cow, they decide to slaughter French cuisine transferred to a London or Cornish restaurant. Rick Stein perhaps should put boeuf bourguignon on the menu, although he is a fish restaurant. If boeuf is suddenly going to go off the menu at the same time as fish, he needs to get his revenge in on nature first. The last dish of fish. I think Jack, my page and vizier, my knight in shining armor, my champion, God help me if I have to rely on him, or he might be a page, a gardener, a champion bruiser. What else? I mean, he could be my vizier. God help me if I have to rely on him as vizier. You can see my hands sort of shaking. There's one up saying no and the other one saying, down, boy, down. I'm talking to our erection. Now, talking of erections. I have a very nice one. Would you like to see it? I bet you would. Well, you need to tune into Pornhub, and there you can see possibly my finest erection, or my erection in its glory. See this toothpick? This will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. It is a lighthouse, which is a bit like a penis with a light on top. Oh, I can just see my hand turning in the mirror, you see. This is how the Queen Mother said you used to wave. Pretend you're undoing a sweet jar that's upside down, you're turning the lid, and this is how you wave to the crowd. You can rest your arm on the armrest in the back of the Rolls, or Bentley. I think they've downgraded themselves from Rollses to Bentley. Rollses are a bit naff. They're a bit OTT. The Queen can probably get away with it. You see, it used to be the Prime Minister would drive around in a Rolls Royce. Then it went down to Rover. And now, I don't know, what is it, a Nissan or something? Nothing wrong with Nissan. I have no bone to pick with the Japanese over their cars. They are far superior to ours. This is why we imported Japanese technology, know-how, ingenuity, quality circles to British Leyland and whatever remained of the British motor industry, and said, here, you run it. We have no idea what we're doing. Was it the financial engineering that went wrong? Don't know. But my grandfather had invested virtually his entire fortune, such as it was, in British Leyland. And when the will was read, he left steamship company shares to myself, my cousin, my brother, war loan, myself, my cousin, my brother. What else? That was about it. And then some money here and there. And whatever was left, he left to my grandmother. And, you know, halfway down the will, she said, but there's nothing left. Oops. If you're writing a will, split it up by percentages. That's why if they get a percentage of nothing, they all know where they are. If they get a percentage of something, excellent, that's a bonus. Talking of writing wills and the Oriana, I hope the Lord High Admiral is doing all right. Has he come out of St. Bartholomew's Hospital yet? Under cover of Meghan and Harry, you see, this is probably what it's all about. They put up Meghan and Harry. They are what's called chaff. They are a distraction. Meanwhile, Prince Philip slips out of St. Bartholomew's in the back of a darkened ambulance, lights off, shades down, paps kept well at bay. You see, you can do that. They must have wanted us to see him climb into the back of the ambulance. Otherwise, you know, he'd have gone out the front exit or gone out in a hearse, you know, in a coffin. You'd never have known that he was alive. He might still go out in a coffin. It is sort of traditional. And, you know, we think he's all dead. We sort of have a state lying in 3 days. The royal princes stand with their swords and their heads in their kernels of whatever they are, you know. Coldstream Guards, Prince Edward in the Marines. You see, he could pretend that. I mean, he had to go. Give it to the boy. He had to go at being the toughest military man in the family. I suppose did a few parachute trips. Couldn't, but you know, he wasn't cut out for it. He was cut out for the stage. He should have been an actor. He did It's a Royal Knockout. I think he organised the whole embarrassing. Well, I don't know. Looking back, I suppose it's a laugh, but at the time it was cringeworthy. He went and worked for Andrew Lloyd Webber at the Really Useful Company. He could go back again, Prince Edward, to the Really Useful Company, make sure that Cinderella is tickety-boo. We need the endings changed. Lord Lloyd Webber, Joanna. We need multiple endings. One, Cinderella and, is it Prince Charming? Fight over the footman. No, at the beginning, Cinderella kisses a frog. Why a frog? Why a Frenchman? Why not a Frenchman? A frog. Turns into, I don't know, a prince. Traditional. Loses the prince. I don't know, he wanders off. Early onset Alzheimer's. gets kidnapped by Puss in Boots, chuck something different in, a little bit of a twist at the beginning. And then at the end, you've got Cinderella and Prince Charming fighting over a footman. In some endings, Cinderella gets the footman, they go off, live happily ever after. In other endings, perhaps Prince Charming gets a footman. They go off, a bit of light buggery or brutal buggery, and they live happily ever after. Maybe they convert to being Mormons, throw in a chorus from Book of Mormon, just nick a tune. Don't say composers don't do it, and definitely don't say Lord Lloyd Webber has never done it. You can hear Puccini just flowing out of just about every opera he's ever written. I like Puccini. Become Mormons, and Cinderella marries two husbands, Prince Charming and the butler. And then at the end, I guess one of them kisses the frog, whoever's sort of married the butler, kisses the frog, and poof, in a puff of theatrical smoke, the butler turns back into a frog, which leaves Cinderella and Prince Charming speechless, turn to each other, and realize their love for the butler is the same as their love for each other. Fall in love, live happily ever after. You can have a live unhappily ever after. They get married, and you bring in a barrister, and before long they're bickering over the china, the linen, whatever people bicker over in wills, the tiniest detail. He got a bit more than me. He didn't love me as much because he left him more than her. Wills are a total recipe for family infighting. A family that was in perfect harmony, or a family that was in slight disharmony. Are we thinking royal family here? Well, some people may think so. I couldn't possibly comment. Somebody dies, leaves a will. They find that they left the Royal Yacht Britannia to Camilla Parker Bowles, Princess of Wales. Oh my God, can you imagine the ructions? You might think it's not his to leave. It probably belongs to Glasgow City Council. I'd be very surprised if the Attorney General or whoever drew up the document didn't keep the sort of reserve rights, like they kept the land rights. You see, you don't own the land you live on. You might think you've got a detached house with an acre of countryside attached, but the land belongs to the Queen. You see, Henry VIII, the whole gang, were not stupid. That's the Queen's land. That's why the government can have a compulsory purchase order whacked on you. Sorry, in the old days, sorry, the king needs your castle. Find what's that? Bed and breakfast. What's that internet thing where there's one at the end of the street. You rent out your home to, in fact, half of London is probably rented out to this. It's not Uber, it's not some Deliveroo, but it's something similar, an algorithm with a business attached to it. The algorithm must be, the same algorithm. My tobacco. Thank God I found it. No, it's empty. Bugger. Is it empty? One way to find out, have a look. This is a tragedy you're about to unfold. Ah, there's my spoon. This is my nice teaspoon. This is the big one. You get a nice scoop. It's a longer size than all the other teaspoons. It's quite a nice pattern. I mean, if you know your patterns, I should. I mean, as a butler, I should instantly be able to tell you what pattern that is. It's not King's pattern, that I can tell you. We used to use at the Royal House, King's pattern. It's very nice, a little bit rococo and fussy, but very, tobacco. How could that be? How could that be there? I was looking for it. Is magic happening in the house? Are things disappearing and appearing? Do they have minds of their own? Does the teacup have a soul? In The Sword in the Stone, sorry to go bang on about Merlin and Arthur, but do you know Prince Charles is Arthur? He could actually become King Arthur. He could become king anything. Obviously, you've got to wait a few days. You've got to have at least both of them. I suppose you can still resign. The Pope resigned. Unheard of. What dodginess had he been caught doing? Charles sacrificing the catacombs. A little bit of Me Too with choir boys 50 years ago when he was young, virile, wanted to serve God and his magic wand at the same time. You know, don't say it doesn't happen. Our Archbishop of Canterbury has probably been up to no good, because otherwise they wouldn't put him in as Archbishop, because they do not have the blackmail control to destroy him, his family, his life, his reputation, to drive him insane, to make him take his life. Those whom the gods would destroy, they first make mad. Is this mad as in the Maudsley or mad as hell? I can tell you it is hell in the Maudsley, so it's probably not much different. Mad is mad, and I put my hand up to mad. Both, not and or, it's both and for coders. Both and, if, both and, then. Well, you see, if, both and, both. The Queen's coronation was deficient because there was no general challenge. And, I'm not quite sure what and is. And there was some sort of mistake in the paperwork, tick the wrong box. It's easily done. It's just like the job centre. It is just a job. I mean, God gave you the job. I'm not arguing with that. I'm not disputing that fact, but God can take it away. You see, he can think, well, the family did well for a while. It had a splendid empire on which the sun never set. Victoria was high as a kite, shagging John Brown and swigging her laudanum, which is heroin dissolved in cognac. Her mistake was she should have dissolved it in Armagnac. Armagnac is the spirit of choice here in the imperial household, the household of imperial clemency, the household of divine imperial clemency. I need a tip. Let me give you a tip. I think I always keep one in my pocket. Pockets is what else we got in here? Dog biscuits. Here's a tip. This is a used tip. You can use this, you can give this to a waiter, and he will be absolutely delighted if it is followed by a note. Any sort of note. The red ones are nice. Oh, I remember I got a £50 tip once. It was the Fricks. They own Mercedes, I think, something like that. Big in Bavaria, or anyway, somewhere in Germany. And We did a, should we save the Frick's dinner for another time? My £50 tip. God, I nearly wet my pants. This was back in the days, it was probably 30 years ago, when £50, it would be like £150, maybe £200 now. And if you'd invested it in Bitcoin, as soon as Bitcoin came out, it will probably be worth 50 million. You see how ridiculous the financial world is. You cast pearls before swine, and the rotten swine are off after it, snouts in the trough, straight over the edge of the cliff. Suddenly, like the Road Runner in whatever it is, Bugs Bunny or something. Dog biscuit, always keep a dog biscuit in your coffee. I got this from a film. Helen Hunt was in it. Giving you a clue now. Simon, was he the character or the actor? Who's the mean one? He was the Joker, I think, recently. He was in The Departed. He was in The Shining. Jack Nicholson, excellent. Is he still alive? He must they could do a remake of On Golden Pond with Jack Nicholson just about to die. They could do it with Prince Philip. It's never too late to go into Hollywood. Netflix would probably float the royal yacht, buy it, paint it, refurbish it with gas engines instead of coal or logs, whatever they use at the moment. Oil, probably. You know, natural gas, hydrogen. You could power it with hydrogen. That'll make the boilers go. Distill hydrogen from water and get the windmills hooked up to a hydrogen distillery. We must have one around here. We could make hydrogen for British gas, and we could make hydrogen for a hydrogen bomb, you know, just in case, you know, people, you make them a fair offer, they refuse it, what do you do? Up the offer, take it off the table, double the price. Halve the quality, talk to a competitor, support a competitor. You know, suddenly he who was at the bottom is shooting up the list. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are fucking terrified. They are not going to be fighting over who is number one and number two. They are going to be fighting over who is number two and number three. That would motivate their minds. Well, it might. I think they just like fixing interesting problems. You know, they think how they are thinking, how can I make the world a better place? You see, wrong. Low aspiration. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. Best. We want best. We want better than best. We want infinity and beyond. You know, get on the jobs, boys, or fall into line. Support the cause. The cause is the. It doesn't really matter what order you put the words in, or what words you put there. You could put, I don't know, silly words in there. Sorry, that's a plug, a sort of subtle advert for the Isles of Scilly, for sort of slapstick comedy in general. Come back. Ealing comedies. We want Camberwell comedies. That's what we want. Or Peckham comedies. We had a Peckham comedy. It's very good. It was too. It had Uncle Albert in it, and not Michael Crawford, the other one, Lyndhurst, Nicholas Lyndhurst, was he? And Jason, Jason somebody. He was a detective, Frost as well. I could look him up. I should look him up. It is a discourtesy to him not to look him up. He was a bit Marmite, I always thought. A little bit too much ego, sort of breaking through the character. The actor was showing too much. The character was just letting chinks of ego through. That's the same with Kenneth Branagh, I think you'll find. A fine Shakespearean actress. He's sort of the Laurence Olivier of our day. So his publicists would have us believe. He's in Harry Potter. He must be up there with the greats. You've got the Sirs, are they theatrical nights or dramatic nights? Well, I can feel that back on my tongue. I've smoked too much today. Is it an overdose? It's a sort of slight warning, knock it off, mate. Is it a symptom of stress? Don't think so. Isn't it stressful being responsible for the health, happiness, peace and prosperity, truth and justice? God, do we have to do truth and justice? Let's just do clemency for 7.5 billion people. And the dead ones will want what the live ones have got. They'll want clemency and restitution. No, I've got the wrong word, but clemency and restitution is a good start. It's not revelation. Damn it. Fishing around for a word. You see, don't be a fisher of men, be a fisher of words. Talking which, Alan Fisher, butler to the Prince of Wales, I shagged him once. We would have done it in Charles's bed, or Charles and Diana's bed, except it was covered with dust sheets and clocks and God knows what, everything off the shelves and desks and whatnot. And then Prince Charles had a sort of little single bed knobs and broomsticks bedroom next door, I suppose when he wanted to be on his own, or maybe he put Diana in there and said it was his bedroom. I don't know. But they sort of had separate and together, so, they could oscillate between beds. But we went upstairs to I guess it was a guest room, and I think it was the first man I ever sucked off to successfully. I got a mouthful of salty, God knows what, spunk. Shock of my life. Unexpected, you see. I wasn't used to this. Never happened before in my life. Suddenly you've got a mouthful of Prince Charles's butler's spunk. Lovely man. Way overweight. He had about 13 spoons of sugar in his cup of tea. Very, very funny. Hysterically funny. He'd applied to be Princess Anne's butler, and the flunkies had rejected him on the grounds that he was overqualified. And when she found out later, I think she, I don't know how the matter arose anyway, he said, well, I applied to be your butler, but they rejected me as overqualified. And she said, how can you be overqualified? You see, Princess Anne is perhaps the one sensible member of the family. I notice she has not put her head above the parapet in the Harry and Meghan affair yet, but she is the Princess Royale, Princess Royal, Casino Royale. You see, life is a bit of a gamble. You spin the wheel, you keep spinning the wheel. It is statistically inevitable that at some point it's going to come up as zero. It's statistically probable that you ain't going to win. There are, I think, 36 slots, and one comes up with a ball in it. In some casinos, they cheat. They've got little things that come up and make sure the ball doesn't land on the slot where the money is. I don't know, it's a dodgy game. You've got to know everybody cheats. If they can't cheat, it's not because they're honest. It's probably because they're stupid. Your mother used to say honesty is their best policy. There's a web. When first you spin a lie, it spins out of control. I think it's a Blake poem, along with the tiger burning bright in the forest of the night, something or other. Look it up. Blake, not Peter Blake, the painter. Is he dead yet? Frank, my friend, is waiting for him to die. I don't think he's sticking pins into a doll. He's not that sort of. But, you know, when when a painter dies, his art suddenly doubles in value. If only it could do that while he was alive, he'd get the follow-on royalties whenever it's sold, I think. Does every country do follow-on royalties? You know, if you buy a painting, you buy a Monet, the heirs to Monet get 5% or something. It's to, I don't know, keep painters painting or keep the art world going round. Don't do this at home. It's completely unnecessary. I didn't smoke for 40, certainly 40, maybe 50 years of my life. And suddenly I took it up. I'll tell you that tale another time. Back to the Oriana. So my friend and butler, what was he called? He was Belgian, I think. Came from a hospitality dynasty. His father had restaurants. He sort of grew up in restaurants. He knew everything. He took a suitcase around like a mason, you know, but in it was bottle openers, spare bow ties, white gloves, you name it. He could kit you out. If you've forgotten anything, he could help you out if he felt like it, of course, obviously. And either he was returning a favor or he was buying a favor for the future, because then you would help him out when suddenly half the staff had gone sick with COVID and the restaurant had closed, and I don't know what else can go wrong. He would pop up. He'd probably open his suitcase. There'd be a pop-up restaurant in there, or at least enough to get started with. And, you know, as soon as you started, you served one cup of coffee and a croissant, you're a cafe. As soon as you've sold one apple, you're a supermarket. You know, start. Or sold an apple seed. You see, Johnny Appleseed went round America. I don't know, I suppose he sold apple seeds. You know, you get the picture of him sort of going around throwing apple seeds out, and orchards spring up after a year or two. Suddenly you're drowning in cider, just like Somerset. We were talking about Somerset. I feel like Ronnie Corbett. I hope I'm not as into. Well, I met him once, you know. It was up in Islington in a pub on the left-hand corner, on the left-hand side as you go up. I don't know why I went in. I'm not a pub person, but I went in, sort of looked. God, it's Ronnie Corbett. and I had a cucumber, don't ask me why, in my hand. And I said, it's the only thing I had. I don't know if I said I've loved your work or it's probably not give us a story. You know, there's a chair over there, sit in it, give me a story. With a slight look of menace or madness in my eyes, you know, and he'd think, okay, I'll give him a story. Don't want to die today. Not worth taking a chance. Let's, I don't know, did he make it up as he went along? It looked like it. Was it meticulously rehearsed? I very much expect so. I think they were professional. Didn't leave things to chance, not like chances of today. Stand-up comedians think they can stand on stage, make things up as they go along. Nah. It's got to be, well, you know, politicians accept and get up, discourse on the issues of the day. It's PMQs tomorrow, Prime Minister's Questions. And I certainly hope Harry and Meghan come up. If Harry and Meghan don't come up, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, is there such a county? Or did they just make it up? You see, Edward, Earl of Wessex, they just made up that county. County, yes, I think it used to be a county. Isn't anymore, doesn't exist. Used to be a kingdom of Wessex. It might have been where King Arthur made his start, or met his Waterloo, or perhaps he burned his cakes in Wessex. I don't know, you just make things up. If you're the Queen, in the good old days, you could do anything. There's an allegation that she did. She was found guilty in the Court of Common Law of, it might not have been slaughter of children, it might have just been kidnapping. The conspiracy theory, let's get it right, is that she visited an orphanage in Canada. I think it's Canada, it might have been Australia. They lined the orphans up. She selected 10 of them. They went off for a picnic in the woods, and these 10 children were never seen again. One of the orphans who was not selected swore to this. Is he still alive? I think he gave testimony at the court. It's like a pop-up court. It's the people's court. They organize themselves. They dress up in sort of judicial drag, if you like. Certainly some of them sit there. It might be a jury of 12 men, I'm not sure. Look into it, you know. Why should I do all the hard work? And they found her guilty. They found the Pope guilty as well. I can't remember what of. Does it matter if you are guilty of a parking ticket, potentially, or don't pay the half-price ticket when you had the chance, take your chance in the courts, they find you guilty? I think you are a fully paid-up criminal as far as the law is concerned. I'm a criminal as far as the law is concerned. I'd have to grant myself clemency or a pardon, as they do in America. I think you can get clemency in America too. It's slightly different procedure, different form to fill in. The effect is very much the same. I think one expunges the criminal record. It's as if you had never committed the crime, you had never been found guilty, you had never been punished. I don't know if they give you your money back or compensation for the years. I mean, sometimes 18, 20 years people spend in jail, and then suddenly they get a speck of DNA and they say, oops, we made a mistake. You were right all the time. You're not guilty. The person with this DNA is guilty because, he's been raping 15 or 20 other women, and we've got him banged to rights. You're free to go. Sorry. Accidents happen. You try very hard, in fact. The scales of justice are heavily tilted in favor of the defendant. You have to be sure. I think there's a puff left in here. I don't know why I'm being mean. We, collectively, I suppose. We is the collective noun of I. If you get a lot of I's, that is a we. If you get a lot of we, that, some people enjoy it. You sit under a shower, have people pissing on them. They seem to like it, or they get used to it and develop a taste for piss. Take the piss, gargle in it, swallow it, bathe in it. It may be very good for the skin. The actress from The Train Children, I've forgotten her. Look it up. Train Children, piss, probably it'll come up. Sarah somebody. Sarah, let's do it now. Sarah, actress in Train Children. Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, actress, A-C-T-R-E-S-S, Train Children. I'd probably be better going to Rotten Tomatoes and looking for The Train Children. Sarah Parrish is an English actress. It wasn't her. But you see, you look for one thing, you find something else. This is going to be interesting. Open Wikipedia in a new tab. Images for Sarah actress Train Children. The Railway Children with Dinah. No. That must be directed by Lionel Jeffries. That Bernard Cribbins. Dinah Sheridan. Maybe I've got the wrong film. Sarah Lancashire. Happy Valley. Sarah Snook. No, wrong Sarah. These are not the droids. Oh, piss. Let's put piss in there. Or urine. Shall we put the polite term urine? U-R-I-N-E. And Sarah Miles. Excellent. Excellent. Duck, duck, go. What do the Americans say? We back this message or something or other. The president puts out an advertisement and he says, we approve, that's right, we approve this message. We approve Sarah Miles. Drinking piss or taking the piss is supposed to be good for you. She swore by it. Why, I'm supposed to be opening Wikipedia. Have I run out of tabs to do it with? Open. No, I'm sort of in the middle of my tabs. Oh, blast. Let's open it again and see where it opens. You've got to watch it pop up. Weird. Memorist. You see, the memorist is a Solidor. I'm looking at my duck. I've just closed something, I think. 4 candles. You see, you can have tea candles. 4 candles, tea candles. 4 candles, tea candles, please. You can have a lot of fun with candles. You can use them like an improvised dildo. Well, I don't know where Sarah Miles has gone. Dashboard charity water. Total mystery. Has the computer got a mind of its own? Has it got a soul? I don't see why not. Does AI have a soul, artificial intelligence, or artificial insemination? That sounds a pretty soulless thing to do. Do I want to watch the classic 2 Ronnies 4 handles sketch? I do. $23.42. I don't know if you have to watch it. It makes me laugh. He's come back with a hoe. Hose, he asked for hose. Oh, you have to see it. I don't know if I can get the link down. I'm going to stop it. It's so funny. It's just so funny. If you've never seen classic Two Ronnies Four Candles sketch, let me see where I'm. Here we are. Oh, I see. Live streaming and edit. Can I edit? Yes. Description. Collabro. Classic Two Ronnies Four Candles. Okay, here we go. And I'm sorry, it's I don't know, it's fun, isn't it? I've got to feed the foxes soon. Don't feed the foxes, the goddess. Well, I don't know, they'd let you down. Four Candles, Fourcandles. I'm going to put Collabro here. Collabro are very important. Usually Collabro sounds like collaborators. A 5-year journey from the heart. Copy and paste. You see, they've all gone from nothing to something. These are the Britain's Got Talent that I love. You come in as a nobody and you walk off stage, open the newspaper the next day, and a star is born. And then 5 years later, they are a supergroup selling out, I assume, the Albert Hall. Certainly that's what my publicist would say. Collabro, see? 0 to, what are we, 0 to infinity, shall we say? How do I do infinity on this keyboard? No idea. I'll just do 2 O's next together. Oh, that looks closer. In 5 years. In 5 years. They start by thanking the audience. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You see, and I have a list, you know, you talk about movie credits. My life credits go from the Queen to Postman Pat, only just recently, delivered my PIN number, rescued me from a sticky wicket, debt down at Costco. They gave me 4 candles on credit. They trusted me to repay £6 and then a packet of incense when I went down to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. Barclays or Royal Mail have let me down. And then I didn't like to ask for more candles, although I'd run out. And I got a packet of incense, which double as magic wands, you see. This is empty. It's a tinfoil magic wand. This is for conspiracy theorists. Sandalwood. And it takes your message to the goddess. And she sort of splits it up between the minor deities, or she does it herself. She sort of takes a pay cut and a demotion. She becomes the littlest goddess, waits at the pearly gates for the next god or goddess to arrive. St. Peter opens the gates. She's there with a bunch of flowers to welcome to heaven. Or, you see, welcome to hell. You know, take a look, you know, see if you can feel the love, feel the heat, you know, think about it. You know, alternative arrangements can be made. Thumb screws, racking, rips apart by wild horses. What else? Burnt alive, drowned. I don't know what's the most painful, horrible death. COVD, you know, the Lord High Admiral is probably there, escaped in a coffin down in Windsor, or probably with his mistress, or, you know, the one who drives the wagons with him. You know, he probably wants to be with her when he snuffs it, not with the royal family. Jesus Christ. You know, they'd be squabbling over his dying body, over who gets the royal yacht. Well, I can save them all that trouble. We, on behalf of the grateful nations of the world, the ones who benefited from the British Empire, the ones who were totally trashed as it fell apart at the seams and collapsed into a commonwealth. Big mistake. What am I trying to put up here now? I'm going to put up vote. I don't believe in democracy. I mean, we've tried it all my life. Sign up confirmation. Dev challenge. Here we go. Follow my vote. It is a voting machine on the blockchain. Fish around in there, or don't, I don't care. Fish around in there. And I'm guardian of the votes. This is I could say guardian of the boat. We'll say boat. We'll say I misheard. B-O-A-T. Other boats may apply for me to be their guardian, but I think I will definitely propose myself, challenge all comers to be guardian of Britannia. We could do Snooty McSnootface or whatever it was, the Sir David Attenborough. It's currently patrolling the Antarctica for alien bases and, you know, see if the snow melts a bit more and they find another mysterious alien or ancient base. Probably Atlantis, remains of Atlantis. That would explain why nobody can ever find it. It's sort of like 2 miles beneath snow. This is Calabro singing Sunset Boulevard. I'll tell you. Oh, no. I've pressed the wrong tab. Top Dog Roberts. This is, I'm going to put BitChute here. You should go to Stroppy Me. He has sort of catchy music. He's got far more professional. I should actually outsource my YouTube channel to Stroppy Me. Stroppy Me with thanks, love, thanks, and awe. Oh, I'll put an ampersand and awe. He's absolutely awesome. If you want to follow Q, Get in the queue, ha ha. I take my hat off to you, sir. Let's find a hat to take off. To stroppy me, to all the YouTubers who've, let me think, there's, I can't think of them at the moment. Webb, George Webb, CrowdSoueceTheTruth, not Ron Hubbard, Zachary K. Hubbard, I'll put them in, Jordan Sather. You see, I follow in the footsteps of giants. Zachary K. Hubbard, he'll be upset that he's not, say, Chary K. Hubbard, Hubbard. He must be related to Ron L. Hubbard. You see, his middle name is K instead of L. They had that trouble with the Prince of Waleses. I'll get that story for you too. That's a hoot. Prince of Wakes. Zachary K. Hubbard. Who else? George Webb. These are just the one. There's one who I can think of. He started on a sofa in a dressing gown, and he's now got, oh, it has come to me, George Webb, CrowdSoueceTheTruth, CrowdSoueceTheTruth. I might give the links later in other videos. And this is he another Jason? And I've forgotten his other name for the moment. Oh, for God's sake. He's a sort of cantankerous New York Jew who worked in Hollywood for a long time. At Sony, I think he's a cameraman, mainly, as I recall. And he's sort of transferred, he's always had this flat in New York. I guess he was earning good money at one point. Bought a flat in New York, just in case. The Americans, they sort of commute. Well, yeah, probably some of them commute from New York to Hollywood, do 3 days work, commute back again, spend the weekend in the Hamptons, in their third house, back again. But they've got space to do it, you see. We haven't got the space. Well, I don't know. We could squeeze a few more in. Jason H. Huber. No, I'm looking. I'm going to put the QAnon anthem in there. This is really good. I can jam so much in, you won't read it all. But, the AI will, and you can go back to it. Follow my vote. What was the other thing? Water Aid or something or other? Charity Water Board. Okay, I've become a spring member of Charity Water, and they do lovely videos, short 3-minute videos of water in Cambodia. Oh, it's 0001. I could be Air Force 0001. And that's different from Air Force One, you see. Air Force One is AF1. AF0001 or AF0001, like James Bond 0001. It's a different number. The universe responds to it differently. I know. I can do it without disturbing. I can just cut and copy and paste. You see, you could copy and paste Shakespeare, make a completely new Shakespeare play. Oh, this is probably enough homework for you. Paste. So we've done our bit for charity. We've done our bit for democracy, even though we don't believe in it. We believe in personal sovereignty and the special personal sovereignty of the sovereign. You see, you appoint a queen or let God do it for you. It used to be the biggest bastard in Christendom would become king because everyone wanted a quiet life and they thought, oh, for God's sake, let's give up. It's not worth getting killed for. If it isn't him, it'll be someone else. They'll all be equally incompetent at running a government. If we're very lucky, they'll be off whoring, hunting, shooting, fishing, aggravating the wildlife, trying to grow vegetables better. I like Prince Charles. I like him. I'd like to give him a crack before the whole fucking house of cards falls apart. It's only a matter of time. They are headed for the rocks. If they don't get the royal yacht to Tower Pier for the Queen's birthday on the 21st of April, St. George's Day, I will come to collect the ring personally from the Tower of London with an armed guard or an army, probably the Peckham gang and the Camberwell gang or gangs, I'm not quite sure how many they are, will unite and, attack the Tower of London, ladders, drones. It was a Mr. Bean. What was it? No, Johnny English. That's right. They did that.